let's give this a try. Getting started on this skirt. It is going to be this. I picked it up in a lot. If you're watching this and you don't watch my other stuff, I resell sewing patterns on eBay mostly. So I get big lots of them, and sometimes the lots are a mixture of cut and uncut patterns. This one happens to be cut. It's sizes 14 to 22. The size it looks like it appears to be is size 18. Was a little weird when I got into the pattern. These pattern pieces, for starters, they're supposed to be like 5 pieces in here, right? No, that's a lie. I think there's supposed to be 6. There's supposed to be 6 pieces in here. There's 3. I have the facing, and I have 2 of the skirt pieces. Now, the other 2 skirt pieces are for a different skirt. They're for this straight skirt here. Okay, so realize my camera twisted, but like I was saying, the pieces that are missing are for the straight skirt. The ones that are there are for this flare edge skirt, which is what I'm going to be using. I am, however, going to be shortening it a little bit. And when I got it, these pieces, it's not only missing the ones for the other ones, but these pieces were literally folded like this and taped down. And I'm just like, why would you do that? Why not just use the pieces for the straight skirt? I have no clue. Maybe they got it pre-cut as well, and this was the only ones they had. There was also an additional piece on the bottom, like there is on this one. And I'm going to use it myself. Looks like this could be where the pattern pieces went to, so that's disturbing. Reach over here. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off because I'm going to need to use a little bit of it. This piece here, we're going to throw that aside for a second. This piece here has been cut wonky. You can see down here, it's got this third line, but as you get up towards the top, it moves on to the second line, which is size 16 instead of size 18. And it looks like they might have just cut it wonky. So I'm going to fill that in, follow the curve so that I have the size that I need. And then this piece here is also very funny because they've got this cut at 22 with this size at the 18. Now this goes on the fold, so they probably just had this second line here up against the fold, which all I have to do, cut it myself or fold it over, or just remember that it needs to be on size 18. So what I'm going to do is take the curve, and I'm just going to find where it's supposed to be. There we go. I'm going to pull this one out. It should be all in place, and I'm going to tape that down so that I have the curve to follow when I cut it. In addition to that, we need to fix the curve here. How I'm going to do that is I'm going to use this piece. Put the 18 down. We're going to match up the little triangle. And then we're just going to kind of follow it where it should be going so that it matches the which that gives you the curve that you need. And then we will cut it out here in a second. And after that, we're going to shorten the skirt. So from here, we're cutting this out. Here I'm just cutting down the paper, so I fast forwarded it real quick so you don't have to watch that. I'm going to go ahead and cut down the center fold, which is not necessary. I know some people don't bother because, well, A, it's not necessary, and B, just kind of reminds them that that line needs to go on the fold, which is cool. I understand that. I'm just going to cut it just to have less folded, wonky crap and taped areas and stuff like that to work with. So after that, we are going to take these pieces and we're going to shorten them. I'm also need to cut this size down. This one has a little bit more here, so we have to find the 18 mark and follow it. Well, I think I'm going to take 2 inches off of this because it lands right below the knee, and I want it to land more like right above the knee. So I'm thinking a good 2 inches is just about right. And what I'm going to do, because I looked at the shape of this, and I've decided that in this range is where we're going to shorten it. And I discovered that there's a line right here for the hip. And if we fold on that, we're likely to get a very good sizing. Now I have to figure out where exactly this one landed at. So I had to speed up and cut out a huge chunk of this clip because literally all you was seeing was the back of my head. Well, I've been sewing for years. Oh, I'm like trying to figure out what this, that's the piece you just put on. I'm going to cut some of the excess off the back. So that I don't confuse myself, because, well, let's face it, that's easy. And voila, these pieces are ready to go. However, I have 2 more pieces to add. I'm adding flounces into these seams, so we'll show you those patterns here in a sec. Okay, and here we are. Here are the 2 additional pieces. They might not look like much, but you'll see what I do with them later. Let's do this. Okay, now, so one of the first things I have to do is check this piece right here. Now, when I made this piece, it appears I forgot to add the seam line in here, so it was definitely going to be too big. I measured and cut off a little bit in this area. Now I need to compare it to the actual skirt pieces to make sure that it will fit as it is. And one thing I need to do is grab these guys and start putting a lot of this pins back in the thingy. I need something different than this. I want something cute to put my pins in. I can't remember who I was watching. They got a cool little like coffin that they put their pins in. I'm so down with that. Or I might just try to find some glass trinket dish to put things in. Who knows? So there's one. And I believe I had to cut 4 of these. Yeah, because they are front and back. I'm going to undo these. Now, of course, this will have cuts in it, but I will be serging these edges. So while the slits will be in there, they won't be. They'll get covered up eventually. Still seems like it's going to be too big. Well, I measured this. This could be interesting. Put this piece off to the side. Just going to do a basic, and this still isn't counting the, of course, slits that will be in it. Nope, it looks like it's going to probably be, well, it looks like it's going to probably be a little bit too long. One question is, did I want to put this up into the, well, no, because we want this to be able to hang, because it's a flouncy thing that hangs down. If we put that up in here, that will stop the flouncy thing from completely hanging down. Like I said, I forgot to add the seam allowance, and then of course down here we have to be sure to leave space for the hem. And again, this will get turned under and sewn. And luckily this fabric, it's not quite complete on both sides. One side is slightly lighter than the other, but it won't be as noticeable that it's the wrong side when it's hanging. So that's lovely. And it's got nice drapes, so it should hang quite nicely as a flounce for sure. I need to cut off. How much do I need to cut off? I'm going to need hem at the bottom here. I'm going to need hem. And I'm going to need line here for the facing that'll go in. So I'll probably cut this down probably a couple inches. And I'm going to do that either off camera, just because the camera setup is very much in the way to do this. While I start pinning things into place and stuff. Or, yeah, I'm going to do that off camera, and we'll come back after I get this cut down and probably hemmed up. So I'll be back. So what I'm doing here is pinning and ironing the flounce edge to be sewn up, to be hemmed. I had considered actually using 2 pieces and sewing them right sides together, turning them inside out. I kind of wish I'd done that. I think it would have still hung quite nicely. It would have been 10 times easier than this, and I think would have looked just a little bit better. I went ahead and sped up this entire process for you so that it's not completely annoying, because it really did take me, like 15-20 minutes. So enjoy. I got these done. See if we can slightly put these in some sort of... Got these all sewn along the edge, and these will go into the seam lines. But first, I need to mark off on these all the little bits. I'm using friction pen. And I did actually do the stay stitching up at the top of these. I had my sewing machine out with the colored thread in it that I needed, but I needed to pull that aside and set up my light box to do photos for eBay, and it was just like I need to just get those done real quick so I could pull the machine down. At this point, because this was cut on the fold, I don't have to worry too awful much about if I'm using, you know, like if there's two on one side and one on the other. Not super important at the moment, but sometimes it will be super important. And because of that, these are actually laying here right sides together. And I know it might not look like right sides together because this fabric is very, very dark on both sides. But it's just slightly lighter on the back side than the front side, so mark those darts. There's that one. Piece over here, and then we'll take these guys and roll them up to the side. Wow, this was like really boring with a lot of nonsense talk, so I sped it up for you. You're welcome. And yeah, I know I'm probably supposed to actually make the triangles. I don't like making the triangles. Even in 4-H, I didn't like making the triangles. Am I going to be able to find those? Because I just realized I skipped this one. I don't know. Is this just not marking or staying? What is going on? Oh, I think I know what I did. I did this one thinking it was this one. I thought it was this one. I did this one, and then I moved this one out of the way and tried to remark this one. So, yeah. Things are going good. Right on schedule. It's about time for me to, since no major seams have been put in or anything yet, it's about time for me to, you know, get the first weird little mistake going. If I can get these mistakes, random mistakes done before I start doing the main seams, I have a shot at not messing up the main seams. But only a shot. Just a small shot of not messing things up. So I'm going to now get these done and putting the flounces in the seams and get the seams sewed up. And I'll show you that when I get to it. Okay, I've got all the side seams. Well, except for this one you sew last. This one here is part way up because this is where this one here. It's part way up because it's where the zipper will go, of course. But as you can see, starting here, we've got the flounce at the top that will hang down and goes all the way to where the hem will go. And then we got the other one on the other side, like princess seaming, but it starts more like halfway up the skirt, and it hangs down, and from what I can tell so far, it's hanging fairly decently. You can see it flipping back and forth. So I'm trying to show you that it's there, but when it's kind of hanging on its own, you get this cascading effect, which is what it's supposed to do. So it seems to be doing what it's supposed to do. Next, I will be putting in the zipper, and then I believe the sides will go up, and then the facing, and then the hem. I believe that's the way it goes. But I will double check the pattern to make sure. And I'm unsure. Because the zipper's going in on this side, whatever side, I can't find it. I serged these edges separately so that I could press this open for the zipper. The others are just serged together. And I serged this edge thinking, oh, I'll press open side seams, both side seams. Now I'm not sure what I want to do and if I want to do that or not. So anyways, I'm going to put in the zipper and definitely the other side sewed up, and maybe even get the facing in, at least to the point where it needs to be folded over, stay stitching, all of that. Probably around that point, so I can show you where I'm at and show you the stay stitching. This is the stay stitching. I was looking at that. The overstitching, wow, my brain completely forgot the name of that. I went and checked the pattern. Thought the pattern would say it. I don't know, peoples, but I will be back in a sec. Okay, zipper is in. Hard to see on this fabric. This is not a fabric for showing on. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. Yep, there we go. You have to hold. There we go. Oh, done. Next, it will be sewing these two side seams together, which I decided I am going to serge them together. And then we have the facing, so I've got to get the facing prepared to put on here. And we'll be back maybe after the facing is completely done. Maybe when I'm in the middle of doing the facing. Depends on what I can create space to show you. Everything's everywhere when I'm working, so I have to kind of pull things aside so that I can show you what I'm working on. So if I can in the middle of it, I'll show you. If not, then I'll show you when I'm done. So see you in a sec. And here we are. The waistband is done. In the length of the waistband here, the pattern was a little off. It around here is a little bit smaller than the actual width around the main portion of the skirt. I do not know what happened with that. The pattern was definitely off. They didn't have enough of the curve in the pattern piece. So I'll show you here in a second what I was talking about. But here's the zipper all in with a hook and eye. It shows a white zipper. I had a purple zipper, but the purple was just a little bit off. And when I held it up, the white zipper just looked better in there. Well, it's probably because of the color purple this is, but as you can see, maybe we've got the flounces cascading down. This one going from the top all the way to the bottom. This one's about halfway up, goes to the bottom. I still have the hem to do. The pattern literally told me to hang it to get any stretch on the bias. Not much of these pieces are cut with any sort of bias because it's princess seamed. So you've got the seam here and the seam here, and it's cut here on the grain line. So maybe you've got a little bit of bias coming into here, but really not much. It flares out, but it just doesn't really flare out at that sort of level. I mean, even here you can see I have to actually, let's go, I'm trying to do this one-handed, actually get the stretch on a bias. There we go. And you can see, in order to do that, it was literally diagonal. Even on this portion, I had to actually go diagonal to get any sort of stretch. So, not much cut on the bias. So, that is it. At this point, I'm going to show you the pattern real quick. And then after that, hopefully I'll be able to show you the hem. Okay, and here we have the pattern. This is the style that I made, but I did shorten it a little bit. I shortened it because this is below the knee, and it shortened it just a little bit so it should be above the knee. And the reality is, if you're short like me, it'll still be below the knee. Now, if you have something that is below the knee for the average person, if a short person puts it on, it'll hit very funny. It's like it's sort of high calfish. It's not flattering, it's not attractive. But if you make it a little bit shorter so that it's above the knee, it'll be above the knee for average tall person, which is very flattering on them because you got the legs for it. And if you're shorter like me and it hits below the knee, it's a more flattering length than this weird kind of like right here look. But this pattern pieces. This piece right here, the facing, it doesn't have enough curve in it to accommodate for the curve that is created here. As you can see, it doesn't seem like there's that much curve in there, but there is. When I actually made it, there was a lot more curve in there. So, simplicity usually isn't super bad about that, but don't know what happened. Maybe I made something wrong. Maybe I was sewing and did a more ½ inch and then moved into a 5/8 of an inch at the end or something. I don't know. It is the serger, and the serger I do have a little bit harder of a time kind of keeping on that 5/8 line because the lines on my serger are just a lot harder to follow. I will be back hopefully with either me working on the hem or maybe just the hem done. We'll see what I get to. See you in a sec. Okay, so I filmed the goodbye, the outro, and then I did something else to the skirt. You're not really going to super notice, but I went in and I fixed this, and the reality is it just made a difference. I made that a little bit smaller so that the band worked with it. I brought in quite a bit. Might be able to see how it hangs slightly differently in but you can just tell it doesn't quite have that bunch it had in the previous clip. So I'll probably take out the actual goodbye and keep that clip in, put this one in right after it so that you know that I changed things. It actually also makes this hang a lot better. Wasn't expecting that. That was just a pleasant little, extra. So, beauty. I love the way those flounces hang. That is so much fun. So anyways, I will actually say goodbye now, and I will leave you here with this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. And here it is, all finished. finished.